Welcome to Fix SLP, the podcast shaking up the field of speech-language pathology. We're calling out the barriers that hold clinicians back, fixing broken systems that limit our care, and giving the power of our profession back to the people who live it every day. This is where fearless clinicians come together. It's time to change the field with our voices, leadership, and advocacy leading the way.
So let's fix SLP.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Jeanette. I am so glad to be back in this saddle for a week. I don't know what is happening from week to week. What you can't see is I have my friend Fixer Phil in the screen. Everybody smile. She doesn't know this, but well, first let me introduce our guest. Stephanie Firo from Chomper Champs is here as my guest. There's a couple motivations for this. First of all, I feel like SLPs can be like true crime podcast junkies for the SLP world, and all you need to do is put some little like breadcrumbs out there and they will find the information. So we need to do that today, maybe. But Stephanie did that a lot during the 92507 stuff with ASHA. So as soon as they announced their consumer-facing website, I called her and I was like, what is this crap? Okay. And she started digging and I started digging and I said, you have to come on the pod and talk about this with me. So that is number one. Number two, I did not sell an ad for today because we thought of this like yesterday. Okay. But for all, she doesn't know this. For all I'm concerned, she's sponsoring today's episode. So thank you, Stephanie from Chomper Champs for being our sponsor today. And I say that because the Fix SLP Chomper Champ, what do you call it, a set?
An accessory kit.
Your accessory kit is out. You had no idea I was going to tell you to tell us about it. Who even knows if you have it near you? But as our sponsor, we're not going to read an ad. You're just going to tell us about it.
Yay! Well, the Fix SLP accessory kit for Chomper Champs, if you pre-ordered one, they all shipped yesterday. So they're in the mail. Today is May 12th. And I'm so excited this kit came together to really be a construction fix kit. It includes a bin with sand for a sensory bin, and a 20-page digital download with construction themed activities. So you have grab and go materials for the speech room. And you're having so much fun dressing Phil, the fixer, up, all of your Chomper Champs up in his accessories, and feeding him his treats at the construction site.
It's so cute. And there's a little special gift from Fix SLP in there, too.
There is.
For the first 50 people that get one, they're going to get a little special gift. And Stephanie is donating a portion of every purchase to us, which is so amazing. It's the cutest thing. It's so cute. I don't treat kids. My son, at one point, he did play with Phil the Fixer. Not so much anymore. But Phil has a whole personality. Like he's on like Hinge for chompers. Okay. He's got like, and it's Phil F-I-L, Philbert the Fixer. Okay. That's who he is. So it's F-I-L-B-E-R-T, Philbert the Fixer. He's my little mascot, and he gets just as spicy as his mom. So
I do love the unhinged text messages that you'll send me from as if you were Phil.
It's fun. He has a whole thing. He's a thing. Okay. So, we're going to talk about the new consumer website. There are a lot of questions. We have a lot of answers. We have a lot of thoughts.
Even more questions.
Yeah. So we just want to preface this by saying today that if we have source documentation, we surely will bring that up. But there is going to be some points in this conversation where maybe we have a little conjecture. I try not to do that on this podcast, but because we have so many unanswered questions, we can only be left to assume. And some of my assumptions I don't think are that far reaching. And so we will want to be aware and keep an eye on things as a community, and people can dig or whatever, talk to your sources, see what you can find. But I always say ASHA does nothing by mistake. everything they do is revenue driven, and nearly everything they do is barely legal. And I don't believe for a second that this is just something they're doing to be nice. Okay? So we're going to back up to the announcement of this website was about a week ago as of this recording. And it came out in a newsletter, right? So Stephanie, you said not everybody is clicking the newsletter.
Yeah, so I got notified because I got the email from the ASHA leader. I subscribed to those, and I believe it came out on May 6th, the article announcing it. And if you go to the ASHA.org homepage and you click on public, there is a link with a short description to get to this new association.
And what I'd like to point, since you brought that up, we're just going to, because we're talking about it right now, that article was written by, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's last name, but Joseph Cerconi. It's Cerquone. Who is he, you ask? Well, he's on ASHA's payroll and has been for a very long time. So this is factoid number one that we looked up. Joseph is ASHA's Senior Director of Public Relations and the Executive Director of the organization that put out this new consumer-facing website. In some deep internet searches, in some digging around, in some really like investigatory style activities, I don't know, he's been with ASHA for like 20 years.
Yeah, I saw on LinkedIn that it's been since 2005. So 21 years this year as the Director of Public Relations.
That was a good guess. And people often ask me, who's in charge of ASHA's marketing? Well, I think it might be him. I could be wrong, but I think it's him. He wrote that article because he is the executive director of the organization that put out this website. So I go to this website just like everybody else. Oh, okay, let's see what ASHA's doing with my money. And I start poking around and I see at the top the Communication Health Support Association, or CHSA, I don't know how we're going to pronounce that one, CHSA, I'm sure they have a way. And my spidey senses start tingling because I'm like, what the hell do we need a new association for? And my brain immediately goes to money. What are they trying to do with money? And or are they trying to make ASHA look better to consumers because of all the bad PR? Like those were my first two thoughts. What is this? Why is this happening? So, you click helpingyoucommunicate.org. And you see under that it's powered by the expertise of the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association. So I thought, well, okay. They're putting ASHA right there. So if they're trying to hide from bad PR, this probably ain't it. So it has to do with money, right? Something is going on. There has to be something happening here. And then, okay, so that's just my thought. Then I start scrolling through this thing and I'm like, okay, it's cute. We got some good colors. Good job, ASHA. Like, if you paid for that, okay, they did their job. But then I'm like, okay, now we have ProFind on here. And this is where my wheels started spinning because Fix SLP has been very critical of no value for the membership. And I want to make sure that everybody listening is on the same page. Membership and the CCC are two separate things. If you're new here, we have a ton of content on that, but they sell you both in one package for $250. Membership is only $29. You cannot purchase membership if you don't also purchase the CCC. although you can have the CCC without membership. Okay. So at the bottom, let's search for a professional. So you can search now. And Stephanie, you did search your name.
I did, yeah.
You thought maybe you wouldn't be listed. And were you?
Yes, I am listed, yeah.
Okay, so this is powered by Profind. I removed myself from Profind. Now, when you searched for yourself, did you just type your name in the search box or did you search in a different way?
I just typed my first and last name in and I came up.
So if you search me, I don't come up. But what we need to find here and what we need the community to try is obviously you aren't going to come up if you have not purchased the CCC or if you stopped purchasing the CCC. You shouldn't come up. Your name shouldn't come up. What I don't yet know is if you hold the CCC and not membership, will your name still come up? So this is something that we need to monitor because I do feel like ASHA is trying to move around services and benefits to, quote, show the value of the membership, but also they need to keep value on the CCC. I don't know how this is going to turn out. So everybody go search. I don't need a million people to comment, but on something that we post about this episode, let us know what you hold with ASHA and how your name pops up. Somebody else messaged and said, how come when you search an estate, every qualified SLP doesn't come up? That's a great question. I haven't done a ton of searching. I haven't played around with it much, but great question. If you pay for the CCC and membership, your name should be there.
Unless you've opted out of the Profind.
I suspect that this is somehow going to be tied to membership or CCC. It's already tied to CCC, but in the future, I think they're going to do something with it. Maybe not. And this is where I want to say, you do not have to pay $250 a year to be listed in a search engine. Our friend Jordan Carroll has Speech Connect. Speech Connect is free. And we have a whole podcast that I will link up in the show notes. The last time we talked about it, it was not yet live. So all you have to do is go to Speech Connect, click join the directory, put your information in there. And then what I would love for everyone to do is then head to the GoFundMe that I started during that podcast episode and throw this girl $5 because this thing is amazing. And again, it's free. She's funding this out of her own pocket for SLPs. And it's so people can find the types of SLPs that they're looking for, you know, whether that be brown skin or white skin, or you just need somebody who treats apraxia of speech, right? But that's the reason she created this. And I think that that is needed and amazing. So please, please go sign up. It's free. Throw her $5. This is the kind of stuff we need to do. We can all complain about ASHA all day long, right? But if we don't do things to support the people who are trying to make another way, we're never going to get anywhere. So be on Profind, that's fine. Don't be on Profind, that's fine. Go sign up for Jordan's Speech Connect. JRC the SLP is her handle on social media. Throw her $5. Like, let's lift her up because she needs us to come around her. So anyway, okay, off my soapbox on that.
So I do have my CCC, and it's really interesting. Like when I search myself, it says my full name, and then immediately the next line is ASHA certification, CCC SLP, and there's even a description of like, oh, why the CCC is valuable. So I wonder if that's always been there. Or with this ASHA Profind, with the new SISHA, with the new Communication Association, like it seemed, my suspicion is pushing the CCC like certification really heavy.
100%.
I just wonder if that's always been there or not.
I doubt it. ASHA Profind, we need to keep an eye on this to see how people are listed. I don't think, and Stephanie, tell me if you think differently, I don't think they'll charge extra to be listed, but it's definitely, right now, it is tied to the CCC.
Yeah, I think that it's just going to continue to be the status quo of the Profind. If you have your membership and CCC, both have to be active. So I imagine it's just a way to push anybody who goes to that consumer website to the Profinder.
Yeah. Okay, so then I alert Stephanie. And Stephanie, what did you find? Where did you go?
So I went to the Secretary of State at maryland.gov to look at the articles of incorporation just to like see when this was filed. Is this a DBA, which is a doing business as? So that's where I went. And then you sent the 990 forms up from ProPublica, which, if you don't know, are the public tax filings with the IRS.
Yeah, so they incorporated in Maryland. And so for those who don't know, ASHA is not registered in Maryland. They're registered in Kansas, okay? So it's interesting to me that they filed in Maryland and not Kansas, because that's actually where I would have looked first, but most people don't know that. Conversation for another day. So I start searching around and I find, oh, this is a 501c3. Well, let's talk about 501c3 versus 501c6.
Which is what ASHA is currently.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So ASHA is a 501c6. So what I already knew was a 501c3 can receive donations that are tax exempt. And I see at the top that it is powered by ASHA. So is ASHA now funding this new organization via tax exempt donations as a way to save money? Like, are they feeding money? Are they funneling money into this thing as a way to save? I don't know. That's question number one. But they're definitely doing it when you look at the 990. They're doing it. Okay, it's there. This is what's happening. They tell you right on the page. A 501c3 is more charitable, educational, scientific, religious. And a 501c6 promotes a common business interest or industry. So both are appropriately organized. It's charities, foundations, universities are C3s. It's the trade organizations, professional associations, chamber of commerce, etc. that would be a C6. So like Fix SLP, we'd have to end up being a foundation versus like, because I don't want it to be a membership association. So it's hard. But anyway, the donations to the C3 are tax deductible. C6, they're not. There are lobbying limitations to all of them, but the C6 is very limited. Like, you can't support candidates directly. A C6, it's much more broad. They do support candidates. You can look that up and see who ASHA has given money to in the past. The revenue model is donations, grants, fundraising. The C6 is membership dues, sponsorship, conferences, like all the ways that you see ASHA making money. And with the IRS, it's just, it's a different filing. So that's the difference. And so I wondered, like, are they using this almost as a tax shelter? Like, I don't even know if that is the correct word. But then that's the next thought I had.
Well, and one of my thoughts too is if you look at the CHSA, the new one, their 2024 tax filing had their total revenue as $519,000. It's like, where did that... It's interesting, like, where did that money come from? I don't really understand how to read these 990s.
I actually have some information on that.
Oh,
but we're not going to get there yet. Okay, so So then I kept, like, falling down this rabbit hole further and further as I am Googling and searching this new organization. And I happen upon the ASHA board meeting notes. Okay? So And this is why we need to start paying attention to things, folks. Under our noses, they changed CPT codes because no one was paying attention. Well, guess what? No one was paying attention here either. And also shame on them, which we'll get to this too. I just have so many thoughts. Okay, so I'm going to try to walk everybody through the timeline in order. Stephanie, I've sent you this information. So Stephanie knows all this, but I hope you're all sitting down. Prepare for your minds to be blown. And this was another reason why I invited her in. So I went back a little further because I found some things, had to go back further. So I knew that Stephanie had discovered that there was a change in mission statement. So I wanted to see if this was all connected. And I think that it is. So Stephanie's going to talk about the mission statement in a minute. But there was something in 2016 called the Strategic Pathway to Excellence. By 2024, there were like 9 objectives that were established, and then the board reviews them. And so that was in 2024, they were redoing stuff. And in late 2023, early 2024, which Stephanie found, they changed the mission statement. It was prominent on the web pages, advocacy materials. By 2024, Stephanie's saying like February, it was all there. So what this coincided with was their modernization rebranding efforts leading to the 100-year anniversary and the expansion now of this public-facing advocacy positioning beyond member services and certification. ASHA has discussed in some of these things that I found this transformation. They're rethinking guiding principles. And there's an article that explains that the organization has been evolving since between 2010 and 2017, and they just wanted like clearer guiding values and positioning for advocacy and decision making. Keep in mind, Fix SLP entered the scene in September of 2023. Okay? This all started happening at the end of 2023 into 2024. Now we have a new mission statement. So Fix SLP is screaming monopolistic practices. Where's the advocacy? Advocacy became a buzzword in this field after Fix SLP started. No one was talking about advocacy before that. Now you see it and hear it all the time. So Stephanie, tell us about the old mission statement and then the new one.
Okay, on January 1st, 2024, the previous mission statement, which I can't remember the specifics, but when I did my Instagram post about this, I had seen it. And this was the mission statement for a very long time. And it was, the mission is empowering and supporting audiologists, speech-language pathologists, and speech-language and hearing scientists through advancing science, setting standards, fostering excellence in professional practice, and advocating for members and those they serve. That was the mission statement up until early 2024. And if you read it today, the mission statement since that first quarter change of 2024, you can go on the ASHA website where they both had a mission statement change and they added core values, which previously they did not have. So the new mission statement is, we are a dynamic community of audiologists, speech-language pathologists, scientists, assistants, and other affiliated professionals dedicated to transforming lives. Through partnership and collaboration, we advance science, foster excellence in education and professional practice, establish standards, and advocate for accessible and quality care for all.
So they're telling us they're already telling us what they're going to do. So they've got this strategic rebranding. Their values are changing. It seems like there's some broader advocacy positioning here. I don't like it. Okay, I don't like what they're doing. And did they ask any of us? Or did they pay someone millions of dollars to figure this out? Who knows, right? Because they don't tell us anything. So that happens. Then in the March 2025 meeting, they changed the wording in their strategic objectives. So strategic objective 1 was members are actively engaged with ASHA, parentheses, association. Now they added words, and again, this is what concerns me. Strategic objective 1, members and affiliates are actively engaged with ASHA and the association. They put the word affiliate in the mission statement. There was some talk, like I've been consulting with people, and the thought was, well, now there's like SLPAs. Well, they have SLPAs listed in there, right?
They do.
So they don't mean SLPAs. Who do they mean? Strategic objective 2 was members are competent to work in the future. They changed it to ASHA certified professionals are competent to work in the future. This covers SLPs and SLPAs because they came out with a CCC version for SLPAs because it's all about the money, folks, okay? So, all right, I get it. Like, there's a distinction. This is probably a fixed SLP response too, because we are now pointing out there is a difference between membership and the CCC. That had all happened in 2023. This is happening in 2025. So now they are quietly adjusting language. Did they tell us they were doing this? No, they did not. Strategic objective 3 did not change. The professions are highly visible and respected. So those are the goals that they're working around. What we see is that what Stephanie saw was that in May of 2025, they filed this new association. So I start digging. Again, I told you I was searching this association, landed on the board notes. So I was going, back and forth and looking through everything. So that's when I saw that in March of 2025, they did this. They didn't file that until May of 2025. In that same meeting, the third thing they discussed, top of the board meeting, March 2025, the board authorized the use of funds from what's called the Special Opportunities Fund for the purpose of engaging new positions that will directly support the development and implementation of an enterprise-wide taxonomy and ontology management system, and that the taxonomy positions are funded from the Special Opportunities Fund for a 3-year term up to $400,000 per year. Okay, so what is that? $1,200,000 they have set aside to hire people to do whatever it is they're trying to do. Okay, so that was thing number 1. $400,000 a year for 3 years. Did I do that math right? Because I'm not a mather. Somebody let me know. Then they appointed Dr. Kelly Utenham of Serenity Speech Therapy. They appointed, not voted. They appointed her to the National Association for Hearing and Speech Action Board. NASA. That's what we're going to call it. NASA. NAHSA. And I'm like, what the hell is NASA? Mm-hmm. So I keep reading. Number 5. They resolve that it's in the best interest of NASA to convert from a Washington, D.C. nonprofit to a Maryland non-stock corporation. I don't even know. Okay, so that's why we saw this happened in March. That's why they filed in May. Then they also, in that same motion, changed the name from the National Association for Hearing and Speech Action to the Communication Health Support Association, which is what is on that website. And I'm like, what is NASA? So then I start doing a very deep dive. And folks, NASA has been around since 1956. Okay? 1956. They are the consumer arm of ASHA, and they have been in operation for 70 years. For 20 of those 70 years, I have been a part of ASHA and have never heard of this thing. Stephanie, have you?
I have never heard of it, which makes it extra, I don't know, suspicious is the word, but the timing.
3 hours ago, I posted to social media to see how many people had actually heard of NASA. And as of this recording, everybody can go back and look. The question was, have you heard of NASA and do you know what they do without Googling or looking? There are 370 people on Instagram who have gotten in. You can't go less than 1% on these polls. So 1% of 370 is 3.7. So we're going to call it like 2 or 3 people have heard of NASA. Before we started recording, I checked on Facebook. You can't do a poll on Facebook. People were commenting. There was not one comment that said people had heard of it. So for 70 years, this association has been around. This 501c3 has been around. ASHA has been feeding money into it for God knows how long. And none of us knew about it. Get real.
It's not nothing either, because I went back and looked at the last couple years of the tax filings, and in 2023, they had net assets at $3.1 million. In 2022, 3.1, like 3.3 in 2021. So it's not a little bit of money that this association action center has been holding on to, which I think is an important part of the conversation.
Yeah. And the money is separate. So then the Form 990s are separate. Because remember, 501c3, 501c6, they can't mix money. So what mainly has this organization done? Well, they are responsible for Better Speech and Hearing Month and the change, happy May everybody, to whatever it's called now. As far as I can tell, that is the number one thing they have done in the last 20 years that has been visible to me. And none of us even knew that they did that. They did send out a survey because I remember taking the survey. But, okay. The other thing that they do, and this is where I start to have some beef, is that they also publish the brochures that you can purchase in the ASHA store. So if you want to put out some brochures about, I don't know, this first one that came up is ASHA's Developmental Milestones Communication Pack, Traumatic Brain Injury, Audiologists and Speech and Language Pathologists Can Help. These are all on sale right now, I think because they're changing the branding. But please tell me why we are selling these when this is a nonprofit responsible for getting public education out. Why do SLPs have to purchase these things to put in their offices?
There's literally a How to Protect Your Hearing poster, normally $12.
Yeah. So if you want the communication pack of booklets and brochures, and like ASHA does, if you're a member, you can, before the sale, you could get it for $20. If you're a non-member, you could get it for $25. Listen, if you are a public-facing website, if you are a consumer-focused organization, you should be supporting all SLPs in educating the community about what SLPs do. It shouldn't be more for members and non-member. It should be free to all SLPs with a license, regardless of ASHA membership, because this is a separate 501c3 association. None of us are, yes, it is the arm of ASHA, but it is separate, and it is a not-for-profit organization that is selling shit to us to advertise for free for them, because of course ASHA's name is all over it, right? Why are we paying for that? That's okay. So now I'm in this rabbit hole. By the way, I said I wasn't going to work on Mother's Day, and here I am. Today's not Mother's Day, but here I am on Mother's Day getting pissed off about an AAC brochure. The Jeanette, I just knocked over kids' toys, throwing my arms around. Okay.
Calm down.
The Jeanette that you all saw, who gave you the master class in professionalism in the AMA meeting, she's gone. The real Jeanette is back, and now I'm fired up. Okay, like that was for that day only. That was a one-time performance. Okay, I'm pissed off about this. So then I go back to the notes. Okay, so they changed the name. That's what they did. So that was like the fourth thing. The fifth thing, they talk about how they're going to file. Now, this is what I love. Okay. The sixth thing that they do is that ASHA, the board of directors, authorizes up to $1.5 million from the Opportunity Fund for Phase 2 of their Renewal, Regeneration, and Reinvention project. And they say that this money will describe and define member value and effectively communicate the member value proposition, the value of the association, for $1.5 million. I can tell you how unvaluable ASHA is for free. I've been doing it for free for 2.5 years, and you all got the point, okay? Point number 2, develop an enterprise-wide content strategy, the benefit to member, the value of the CSD discipline. Now, keep in mind, you can't be a member if you don't buy their frickin' product. So they're going to show you all of this value, but sorry, it's only for the kids who want to play in the sandbox. You might have the degree and the license, but unless you buy our product for $221, you can't play with us. And this is why I get pissed about ASHA. Okay, there should be a consumer-facing website. No one is disputing that. But when they play this game, it's bullshit. Oh, and man, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I am fired up.
So essentially, in this item number 6, they are authorizing $1.5 million from the Special Opportunities Fund to then tell us the value of their membership.
Yes, so we have paid ASHA for them to authorize money to tell us how valuable they are. Bingo, Stephanie.
I just wanted to say it crystal clear that that's what this says.
Insert applause here. Okay, so they're going to use the money to enable the following possible activities, among others, as needed. Okay, so they're not even saying this is going to happen. These were just examples. So basically, we're going to get this money and do whatever the hell we want with it, okay? They're going to do an ASHA website content cleanup for $1.5 million. Here's what I also love. The Member Login Project, a project designed to identify members-only content and communications, as well as change management activities. What? What are change management activities?
No idea.
Okay.
Literally no idea.
Okay. And the compliance of all ASHA online content with global standards. You should have already done that. Why are we paying $1.5 million to bring you up to date? They're going to update their information technologies and digital systems, and enterprise-wide editorial planning and workflow management, part of ASHA's content strategy project, And here's what I love, and probably which the most expensive thing. So when you call the Action Center, you know how we yell at the people there, which we really shouldn't do because none of this is their fault.
We should be nice to them.
They're going to replace them with AI. The addition of increased technical assistance to members through the use of AI. That's what we're paying for. So now we can, you can't scream at AI. They don't care.
And also, just as we're talking about like the IT, the money funneling into this like tech development, on the 2024 tax filing for ASHA, not this new association, but ASHA, they spent $4 million on IT in 2024. So the fact that we need like more money going into, we already spent $4 million. So
also, all they created, this quote community facing website, all it is a landing page, right? Like, this is not a separate website. Any link takes you right back to ASHA content. They didn't design an entire website, which you can do for, I don't know, $5,000, not on Squarespace, $6,000, $10,000. They didn't even do that. They created a page with its own URL that then links you to the ASHA website. Like, this is not expensive stuff that they have done.
Yes. Like, I clicked on the developmental milestones, which you think for the consumer, it would fall under the consumer website, and it just links back to the ASHA communication milestones page.
Right. All they did was they paid a marketing firm for a new logo, which you could have done on Fiverr for $20. And they came up with a color palette, which really is nice. You heard me at the top of the episode say good job, but that wasn't $1.5 million, okay? And I know they're not spending all of it on that. But the expense of what they just did for how little is actually out there. They changed the name. They put lipstick on a pig. Like, that's okay. So that's what they did. So this organization has been around forever. And then, they appointed that person to the board. So I was like, all right, let me look at this board. So I look at the board. Oh, of course, we got Vicky Deal Williams on there. We've got this Joe. We've got an ASHA staffer doing communication. We've got an audiologist. It's a small board. It's a small board. Interestingly, and this was a rabbit hole that I went down that then I crawled out of, every board has to have like a public member. And it seems like, as I was searching, maybe a social worker was on the board before, and then like 2021-ish, they brought on an occupational therapist who was on AOTA. I don't know if she's still in AOTA. I undetermined, but she was a paid staffer in AOTA, I believe. And then I started thinking, all right, consumer website. What greater consumer protection is there than the CCC, other than the state license, right? But ASHA would tell you that the CCC is the thing that people need. And then I wondered if NBCOT, that sells the OT certification, was ever a part of AOTA. So I started researching, and guess what, Stephanie?
What?
It was. It was.
No.
It was, in fact, part of AOTA, except occupational therapy did the right thing. They did the right thing as those licenses were established. They did what every reasonable organization would do. Okay? So, in the 80s, okay, we're going back 40 years, okay? In the 80s, concerns started to emerge about antitrust and conflict of interest issues when AOTA controlled membership, advocacy, accreditation, and professional certification. Who does this sound like? Could swap out ASHA for AOTA, right? So in 1986, AOTA created the American Occupational Therapy Certification Board, AOTCB, as the autonomous certification arm. Autonomous meaning it's going to be separate. So they willingly separated their certification from their membership association. Okay. In 1988, so 2 years later, they got them up and running. And then 2 years later, that certification body separately incorporated and became completely independent from AOTA. So it was called the AOTCB. And then in 1996, it was renamed NBCOT. And I wondered, is that why we have an OT on this board? But she looked awful young. And I was like, there's no way. She was around in the 80s. I mean, I was around in the 80s, but I wouldn't have been separating associations, right? She'd probably need to be in her 70s, and she looks way younger than that. And that's when I looked up and saw it was like 2021. So that crashed that theory about why she's on there. I think she was just on there. She probably knew somebody or had some kind of interest or something. So we're not going to blame her. We're not going to be angry at her. But it was interesting, and it was a rabbit hole that caused me to then look at OTs. So what do you think about that, Stephanie?
One, I'm proud of the OTs for doing the right thing early on, but it's really interesting that the NASHA was formed 20 years before OT did that. So ASHA saw them do this in the 80s and has had this separate organization set up the entire time, and as we know, like, have actively chosen to separate the two.
Yeah, so, I mean, in the 80s, we didn't have a licensing board. OT is well ahead of us. Well, we had licensing boards, but we didn't have a license in every state. So the last license wasn't established until 2016 in Colorado. But that's when ASHA should have separated, because the CCC was created as a consumer protection product.
Got it.
So not just anybody could hang a shingle and say, I'm a speech therapist. You would get the CCC to show people that you went through an accredited program and did the work and you were a legit speech therapist. So that was a good thing. The CCC was a good thing. It became not a good thing in 2016 and a half when we no longer need it, and they continued to push it. That's when they should have stepped back and said, okay, this is separate, it's an add-on, and then, like, let's make it more valuable. Like, let's increase, let's make it the gold standard, not the minimum, which is what it is.
Sure.
But they didn't do that. They just dug in and kept masquerading it as a license until September of 2023, when Fix SLP entered the scene and said, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing it anymore. So that crashed that theory. However, it makes me wonder, and this is conjecture. I have no proof of this. I have no source documentation. I haven't talked to anyone. My wheels have been spinning. And it makes me wonder, ASHA knows that we are screaming antitrust. I've put it on the podcast. Our lawyers have engaged them, okay? They know that we are all screaming class action, antitrust. This is wrong. And what they do is barely legal. They know that. And while this new 501c3 is a part of ASHA, and it's not new, right? It's been in existence. It would make sense if they're going to make the focus get a CCC certified SLP it would make sense if they also certified the SLPs, which has made me wonder if the CCC program will be transferred to CHSA. Now, I kind of lean towards no, at least not anytime soon. There's more digging to do, and that's why I wanted to get this out to all of you. Normally I would do all the digging, but I know that the ABA, or the ABA, I know that the AMA decision is coming. I wanted to get it out this week because there's going to be more to talk about in the coming weeks unrelated to this. So you guys go dig. Look at how the finances are transferred between the two, because I don't see ASHA doing what AOTA did. There is no way on God's green earth that they are going to separate their most valuable asset to a new organization and cut it loose. It's just not going to happen. Not when they're spending 1 point, however much money we said to hire people, millions of dollars, right? Not when we're spending $4 million on tech and $1.5 million on special interest. There is no way that they're cutting this thing loose. But the appearance of it being under a 501c3 certainly would make an antitrust case harder to bring forward, I think. I don't know. What do you think, Stephanie?
I'm sorry, Jeanette. I'm just taking it all in. I have a hard time believing that they would separate the CCC from ASHA, like you said, also because of the opportunity to break off. One, like, would that mean that the accreditation from all these universities would, like, everything would just, like, pass over to the new organization?
No, because the CAA is its own arm. Just like CHSAA is an arm, the CAA is another arm. That's their accreditation arm. Then we have the CFCC, which is actually who controls the CCC, but it's not a 501c3. It is actually ASHA. Just their CFCC controls the requirements and who gets the CCC. But they could transfer the CFCC to this CHSA.
Okay, that's helpful to know.
But they would have to be able to transfer the money back to ASHA in some way. Like, donate it to ASHA. Can they do that? I really wanted to talk to a lawyer about this, like a tax attorney or a nonprofit attorney, someone to see if the transfer of money like that can even happen. Because because again, we said at the top of this episode, these are two different pots of money. And so ASHA can't, even though it's an arm of ASHA, they can't dip in and just take. They can give, but I don't think they can just dip in and take unless I'm wrong. And that's what we need people to start digging. Everybody start digging into these finances and figure out how all of this works to see if it's even reasonable that they would transfer it. Because the other thing that I've been realizing and learning through the AMA process is the board votes on things, and it's always unanimous, always. But I don't think that the board is involved in the everyday workings. Like, they might make suggestions and appoint people, but it's these committees, like the HCEC, that made these changes to the CPT codes. From what I understand, there were people on the board that didn't even know this was going on. So that's what tells me, like, Vicky has no control. She's just a talking head, even though that she's the CEO. Any other organization, the CEO is in charge and is supported by the board, and the board makes decisions. That's not how it works at ASHA. You know, Vicky wasn't even at the AMA meeting, okay? Any CEO should have been. She wasn't there. So I don't think she has a say. She's not a voting member of the board. I think the board approves all this crap, but I think there are a lot of back office deals going on at ASHA between, I don't know, the PR people, the VPs who run things. I think they're the ones making these decisions. Like this Joe guy, who's the executor. I think he's making the decisions for CHSA and taking it to the board. That's a guess. And I think it's the same way for the board of ASHA, where, committee members are bringing things forward, it's being approved, and then they all move on. They're not doing the work. They are just approving. They are putting rubber stamps on things. So people, let's go. True crime podcasters, you're now true criming ASHA. Let's figure out if this can happen. Because I think if it can, it might. Or maybe I just gave them the idea and now they're going to do it. But it makes sense that the consumer protection piece would be in the consumer protection or the consumer education organization, right?
100% it does.
Now, my next question, Stephanie, and I don't know that you have answers. Who are these affiliates? I know everybody's going to go to ABA immediately. You're all going to be like ABA. I don't know, because they compete with ASHA. ABA has their own organization. They're killing it compared to ASHA. Why would ABA therapists leave their own membership organization and come to ASHA? What has ASHA ever done for them except for keep the word communication out of their code definitions out of fear of duplicate billing?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. We've got hearing aid dealers, OTs, they compete with all of these people, but ASHA is losing revenue because of Fix SLP. I posted maybe 2 months ago, I posted a bar graph of what membership looked like pre and where it is now. And that's just the people who have dropped membership. They don't report people who drop the CCC and membership. We don't get to see those numbers, and it's impossible to figure out.
Well, could that, I wonder too, loop back to the OT on the board of losing revenue from SLPs? I wonder if it's going to expand more into other products for our affiliated professionals. I have no idea. That's totally just a guess. And my brain also goes to, okay, well, if membership is dropping and members are no longer funding $70 million a year, what other types of affiliates or stakeholders or interested parties could come to ASHA as an investment opportunity potentially as well? And then you have to protect your stakeholders and your investors too. Again, that's totally might not even be something that's legal that can happen. But the word affiliate, when I read that, it just totally sent off some really interesting, I don't even know how to describe it, just some spidey senses of, I don't like that word. I think it's too general and there's no definition.
Something is going on. Again, they do nothing by mistake. They are slowly changing this wording. In 2024, they put it into their mission statement. In 2025, they changed their strategic objectives. What are they doing? Now they're, quote, educating the public, which again, great. We need that. But 100%. the same people are doing it. This Joe guy has been there for 20 years. If he wasn't doing it effectively 5 years ago, is he going to do it effectively now? Okay, that's the next thing that I want to jump into, is what this man is paid.
Yeah. Because
okay,
yes,
I sent this to Stephanie. Right earlier, I sent this to you.
Yes, it's on the ProPublica. Yes.
Okay, so the executive director in 2024 with compensation and another nearly $56,000 of other compensation, he made about $277,425 total for no one to know about this organization. In 2023, it was about $252,560,000. It was more, or I'm sorry, that was in 2023, it was $252,560,000. In 2022, he actually made more. It was $259,181. So up and down. Now, the other thing Stephanie and I looked at is he's listed as part-time. Part-time he's listed as.
For $270,000.
But this is what I figured out. Stephanie did the digging because I was driving. This was happening today. Okay. I said, Stephanie, pull up the 990 for ASHA and see if Vicky's is the same.
And it is.
Do you want to remind everybody what she's making?
I would absolutely love to. So in 2024 tax return, Vicky Williams, total compensation $680,000, and then other compensation in addition to that $138,000. So over $800,000 in compensation. And as I was like digging through the actual 990, something that really stood out to me was it lists the like retirement contributions. The retirement contributions in 2024 for Vicky, the CEO of ASHA, was about $96,000 that ASHA paid into her retirement. That is more than most SLPs make annually, and she made that in her retirement.
And retirement is in the form of a pension. They get pensions.
So just all of this is public knowledge, guys. I mean, you don't have to be a tax expert to open up these documents and see like what it lists it line by line. If you go to the summary on ProPublica, total assets for the American Speech Language Hearing Association, $184 million in assets.
So they've got all this crap.
And money.
As I continued to dig, they list no employees for CHSA. No employees. They have no employees, which means ASHA is funding their staff. And so what I assume is he's listed as the part-time director for CHSA, but he works for ASHA. So he's probably given, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 hours a week to CHSA, and he's giving the rest to ASHA because their salaries don't change, like Vicky's didn't change. So I think that's what's going on there, and that's why he's listed as part-time.
It actually lists it on the 990 for the communication health. It has his hours. There's a dotted line in the hours for that. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was like 4. And then for the affiliated organization, ASHA, it said like 48 hours a week or something like that.
So in 2024, this organization had we'll just call it $520,000 in revenue. That is not going to pay people to run this organization. What are they using the money for? Someone please go figure it out. Where's that money going? They get they list their notable sources of revenue, $300,000 in contributions. That's a nice even number. Sounds like it came from ASHA. Could be wrong. They have program services, $3,363. Investment income, just above $108,000. Sales of assets, almost the same exact amount.
Are you looking at their statement of functional expenses? Because on line 24A, their biggest expense was for $284,000, and it's just listed as special project. There's no specific definition of what they're spending $284,000 on.
I guarantee you it was for that marketing firm that rebranded the website. The landing page. Let's call it what it is.
There was a financial report in October 2024. The board of directors took from that special opportunities fund to approve funding for a 2025 budgeted strategic objective and special projects. They approved $745,000 in late 2024 going into 2025 for this special project, which tells me that that probably was set aside for this CSHA project, is what I would assume that's for.
And what year was that?
That was in October of 2024, this board meeting.
But then in 2025, we also have money earmarked.
Yep.
Okay. Now, full transparency here, because I'm dying to know. While you were talking, I used AI to see if a 501c3 can transfer money to a related 501c6. Yes, they can. There are important legal limits. The issue is why the money is being transferred and whether the transfer is primarily advances the charitable and educational mission of the 501c3, which I think ASHA could probably make a case for. Again, everything they do is barely legal. They can't subsidize lobbying, member benefits, or general trade association operations. But again, everything is interwoven, right? So the $221, that is the, I don't know, but
can they use it to pay their staff?
Yeah.
Because of the $75 million a year in revenue, over $35 million of that goes to payroll at ASHA.
Yes, because that is related to the charitable and educational mission of the 501c3. So they have to be related. They are. They can share staff. They can share office space. They can share branding. They can share services through formal agreements. Here we go. 501c3 can pay the 501c6 for legitimate services at fair market value. So yes, they could pay the staff. 50c3 can sometimes make grants to the 501c6 for special projects. So they just can't simply funnel charitable assets for unrestricted activities. So, and they can't subsidize lobbying, which they don't spend that much on lobbying anyway. The PAC pays for lobbying. They can't use donor-restricted charitable funds for non-charitable member benefit purposes, which member benefits don't... You guys, when they say benefit of membership, this is, again, antitrust. They are charging $29 for membership. They are making it nearly impossible for any organization. Like, people are screaming, Jeanette, start a new organization. If I charged you $29 a member... I couldn't touch the services that ASHA has because they don't fund that shit with member money. They subsidize it with the CCC. They make it so low that no one could compete. And there's our next lawsuit. Jeanette starts something. None of you are able to join. You all tell me I can't join because I have to be a part of ASHA or I don't have the money because I pay ASHA. And then that's when I could sue ASHA for antitrust, right? They have it so low because everything they do generates revenue. They don't have to charge you for membership, but they're a membership association, so they have to charge you. This is all a twisted web of a mess. So the clearest summaries from association law guidelines state 501c3 assets must be used exclusively for 501c3 tax-exempt purposes. It does warn against allowing a C3's assets to support a C6 without fair value compensation. So yes, basically CHSA could legally move money to ASHA, not unrestricted. It would, they'd have to have good accountants, which they already do. So it can be done. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I just, I don't know. I'm in too deep. Somebody show me the way.
Once you start digging, it really is a cluster in your head of like, wait, what? I mean, just that. I mean, we already know that we pay you to use our money so that you make everybody think and
So you can keep gaslighting us.
Exactly. We pay you our money that you can go and use to guarantee that we're going to give you our money next year. And this, like, the fact that it's so intertwined and that you can pass money back and forth between these two organizations heavily goes along with that. Like, it's just, I guess that my rage just comes from, who asked for this? Like, as a member for about a decade now, over a decade if you count my NISHLA membership fees, like, who's asking for this? Who is asking for $72 million a year to be spent on this? Seems kind of self-interesting to me.
More questions than answers, folks. We brought it to you here first, okay? ASHA has had an association for 70 years that not one of us knew about. No, one person on social media knew about. And Fix SLP has to be the one to tell you about it. And by the way, we got all of this information in like 24 hours while we were celebrating Mother's Day and working and playing with Fixer Phil. Okay? Stephanie's literally over there sending out Fix SLP accessory kits for all the chompers.
My phone's
somehow,
going off with emails.
Somehow we still came up with all of this information. So there's more out there. I'm sure there's more to be learned. There is more to uncover, and there is a lot of crap to keep an eye on. That's it. That's all I got for today. You got anything else, Stephanie?
I don't. I think that also, like, this is so overwhelming and so much information. Like, SLPs, we're busy, we're overworked, reimbursement keeps dropping, and I think it's important for SLPs to be aware. But I was actually with an SLP today, and she was just like, I don't have time to keep up with this stuff. And so I think just doing whatever itty bit of due diligence that you can to stay aware. I always recommend, number one, following Fix SLP so you can get consumable information in the context of a post. But I just wanted to acknowledge that it's really hard right now. The world we live in, our professional issues, and I just hope nobody feels too overwhelmed by this.
You're going to be overwhelmed by this 97-minute podcast if I don't cut it down for you all.
100%. Well, thank you for having me on. As we just dug through this and we sat processing, and it'll be interesting to see the direction what next comes out. But yeah, everybody go check out the new website and click on a link and see where it takes you.
I can't wait to meet our affiliate friends who are going to be coming down the pike at some point because we're adding them to all the language.
You know, in social media world, the term affiliate is associated, like, as myself with like a product-based business. I pay an affiliate to tell people what they think about my product, how good it is. So it'll be interesting too. Like, what does this affiliate mean? Are these people that ASHA have some relationship?
No, ASHA's going to make them pay. ASHA's going to make the affiliates pay them. Like, they're going to gaslight them into, you're going to be an affiliate and tell people how great we are, but you're going to pay us to do it.
You must be a certified member to apply to our affiliate program. So.
All right, Stephanie, thank you for unknowingly sponsoring this podcast, you guys. She does have the pre-order still up on her website. She might not know that, but I think you can still go and order it.
Yes, so this is going to be a permanent product in the Chomper Champs website for just like an ongoing rolling fundraising effort for Fix SLP as a way to support them and also get something in your speech therapy material toolbox if you have a Chomper Champ. And if you don't, you get a little bit of a discount if you bundle the Fix kit with your first Chomper Champ.
Free gift with purchase from Fix SLP. Don't get too excited, but there's something in there from me that I mailed to her, okay? All right, everybody. I got a lot of work to do in the next 30 hours to get this out to you on time. So I can almost promise you next week we're talking AMA results. I don't know what they are. We're going to know next week. I'm going to have something to scream about or cheer about. I don't know. I feel good. Even if we lose, I think things changed because ASHA pulled back the curtain. They showed you who they were.
Yes, they did.
And y'all went wild. So, all right, guys. We will see you next week. Thanks for fixing it.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Fix SLP podcast, the podcast shaking up the field of speech-language pathology. Don't forget to check out our social media or fixslp.com for our latest promo codes for continuing education, therapy materials, merch, and more. Supporting our sponsors also supports our Fix SLP team. Don't just listen, be a part of the change. Share this episode and our social media content, and let's keep fixing the field one fight at a time.